What's so funny?
I'm just laughing. I haven't done this in a while.
It's like riding a bike.
Have you ever had that perfect thought that gets you lost in the keyboard? When your words turn into pictures. That happens to me when I write that down. This is a podcast about becoming a writer, my favorite books, authors, and everything about the written word. This is Write That Down. Writers spend 3 years rearranging 26 letters of the alphabet. It's enough to make you lose your mind day by day. Richard Price was an author in the 1700s, but apparently he was born 1721 and died 1791, so he never made it to the 18th century.
But his words still live today.
His words still live. That's a really famous book.
That's the power of writing, right?
Yeah. I mean, but I really like this quote.
Why?
I don't know. It's because when I have one of my friends and I was talking to her and she said, "What is your excuse for saying something dumb to somebody who doesn't understand your humor?" And I was like, I don't know. Why would you bring that up? She's like, because I have a really good one. And I was like, what? She was like, sorry, I write. And it just makes me realize that all writers have very little sanity left, including myself. Hence why I was laughing before trying to read that quote.
You're 13.
Yeah.
You have plenty of sanity left. What have you been up to? It's been a while between episodes.
It's been almost a year.
First of all, 8th grade. How's it going?
Oh, it's just fantastic. I say that with sarcasm, but I really do love my teachers.
And I think it's going well, really.
It is. Yeah, it is going really well.
Middle school. What's that process like? It's been a long time for me.
Oh, it's not. And it's
really?
Not, I mean, it's not that bad. I like to be overdramatic a lot of the time. But middle school, it's kind of, 8th grade is kind of just a repeat of 7th grade year, except without all the anticipation, because you're like, what is middle school like? Like, I already kind of know. Mm-hmm. But we got, there was a trouble with lockers, which that was really fun.
Ooh, locker drama.
Yeah, so they didn't assign us a locker for the first, 2 weeks?
How do you carry all your books around?
I know. That was my problem. It was very devastating.
Let's talk about some of the achievements between last podcast and this podcast, because you've had a good run.
Yeah.
You talk about 7th grade year wasn't so great. It was a great year.
It really was, yeah.
During the last episode, we were talking about Power of the Pen. That went really well.
It did. It really did. I was listening to a lot of the old episodes as I was creating the little outline for today's episode.
We call it a rundown in the biz.
The rundown?
Yes.
In the biz? The
Yeah.
business?
The business.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I knew that. But I was listening to the old episodes, and I was like, just the fact that I made the 10 was fantastic. And yes, I want to make the 6, but I'm just proud of my accomplishments. I made the 6. And that was I remember.
So you tried out audition for one of 10 spots. And then when you said you made the 6.
The 6 that went to compete, yes.
Okay. And then how did you guys do competing?
Our district is a huge district. And so we have a wide range of people. And I didn't know how many amazing writers there were in our school. Our district, I don't remember what it was for the first competition. A bunch of my friends placed, which place means you got either first place through 12th place. Mm-hmm. And then I placed second in the second competition, which was, I literally started crying.
That was the district.
The district,
yep.
Which is, I think out of 59 people were competing in my grade level, and I placed second. And I remember I literally started crying.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So did your producer. Then you guys went on to the state.
We went on to state, and a bunch of my friends made top 12, and that was really exciting. And so our district placed, I believe.
When you say your district, your school.
Our
your school
team.
Mm-hmm.
Placed, third or second? I don't remember. Do you remember?
You made the podium.
We made the podium.
Top 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I have a big shiny medal hanging on my medal board.
Nice.
That says Power of the Pen.
Nice. Point of the podcast is to talk about your trials and tribulations as an author.
Yep.
You've started your book.
I have started a book. I've started many books.
Correct, but you think you started the one.
The one, yeah.
Are you being serious?
I feel
You've pump faked us on this several times.
Oh, yeah. But I've only made it to page 7. I've never made it to page 100 before.
Okay, so you're saying you're at 100 pages in?
I'm at 99 right now, but yes, we were at 100 because, okay, there was a thing where I was co-writing with 2 people, and then one person had to, like, stop writing, so I have to rewrite the scenes that she had written.
Okay.
So now we're at 99, but we have hit 100.
Okay.
And we had a whole ceremony, and that was really fun.
Great.
I mean, Avery, we had her, I think, 2 episodes? Or maybe it was last episode, I don't remember.
Okay.
We had her on. She's who I'm co-writing with.
Okay.
And she's literally the best. I don't know.
How's that process as a co-writer work?
So, if you've been listening, you know that because of Mr. Terupt is one of my biggest inspiration, if not my biggest inspiration to become a writer. That was what had, like, fueled that fire for me. So we decided that we wanted to make it a multiple perspective. And so I have a perspective, Avery has a perspective, and then we have a bunch of other characters that we are making more perspectives for. Mm-hmm. But so my character is named Alora Lane, and she's basically just a cooler, more warrior-esque version of me. And it's always really fun to write her.
Okay. And what's the book about? Are you allowed to tell me?
Yeah, I mean, I guess. My rules.
It's
my book,
podcast.
my rules, my podcast. Yeah, so our book is about, how do I explain this? There's basically a secret society of assassins. And it's like secret, it's small, it's really not known until the government screws up. And then more people are joining the secret society of assassins. And basically the only way that the actual government can think of a way to solve this problem of about to get overthrown is to put them 100 assassins at a time in a Hunger Games situation.
Are you inspired by what you've been... This story is inspired by what you've been reading? You mentioned Hunger Games, and I know that you spent the summer reading the Hunger Games.
I did. I read the first book. Not really, because we started before I read it.
Okay.
And we kind of just thought it was a cool thing. I mean, the real reason behind why we started writing this book is kind of, it sounds really stupid, but it was really fun. So the last week of school, my friends and I decided that we were going to play this game called Tag, or it stood for the Assassin's Game, where basically we played tag in the hallways on the last week of school. And but it was a lot more complicated, but in our book, it's a lot less. So we had a bunch of rules and whatever, and we got this big clan of people to play this game of tag in the hallways, and we got teacher permission and everything, so it was fine. But, like, we kind of based it off of that and made ourselves, like, actual assassins, because it stood for the Assassin's Game, and then we kind of made that our story. Which, now that I'm saying it out loud, it sounds kind of, like, not basic, but, like, the opposite of basic. What's that word?
Complex.
Complex!
Are you being serious?
No, I can't words. I mean, whenever I can't speak correctly, or whenever I, like, stumble over my words, I will always say, I can write, I can't speak.
What's on the agenda today?
Well, we have the What I've Written, which was the Assassins of Affray. That's what it's called.
Is that the title of the book?
It means a work in progress.
Assassins Affray.
Affray means, like, battle. And then we're going to talk about what books I've been reading, because that's always a fun conversation.
Oh, my word. Let's just say over the summer, how many books have you read?
20 plus.
Easily. What have you been reading? What have you enjoyed?
We are very positive, glass half full kind of people. And while I have read some that I haven't enjoyed, because you always find, we're going to talk about the ones that I absolutely love to pieces.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first, I didn't realize this was this far back. I finished the Keeper of the Lost City series in January.
Okay.
And that 10 out of 10 stars, 11 out of 10 stars actually. Highly recommend. It's middle grade. It's awesome. Go read it. The Selection, that was my first time dipping into the YA world. I remember I read the first book in 3 hours at 2 a.m. And I will never regret that decision.
Producer was super pumped up about that, too.
Oh, yeah. And then I read the second one, and then the third one, and the spin-offs. And I remember I was like, Mom, we have to go on Amazon right now at 2 a.m. Like, I woke her up, and she was like, what? And I was like, I need the sequel. And she was like, what am I going to do with you? Like, so now I have them on my bookshelf, and they're very pretty. These Violent Delights I read really recently. This is kind of jumping from February to August, but These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, that's like the first like gory, no, that's a lie. But like the first like time that I was like, oh, this is really YA kind of book, and I loved it.
What do you mean by YA?
It stands for young adult.
I know what it means, but what does that mean to you?
It's kind of just like
more mature material?
More mature, yeah.
Okay. Does your producer need to be worried?
No, you do not have to be worried. That one was, I think, my most recent read, and I loved it. Highly recommend.
Okay.
I think that's a duology right now, but I think she's making it a trilogy.
Haven't heard of any of these books.
That's okay.
Okay.
Daughter of the Pirate King, I read at some point in July. Loved that. It was very gory, but I loved it.
Wow.
But it's it's pirates. It's
okay.
When like authors will like review books and they'll put the quotes that they say on the back of the book. That John Green guy who did Crash Course and wrote a bajillion books said that it's a female version of Pirates of the Caribbean or whatever that is.
Well, you could say that word either way. Caribbean or Caribbean.
Kind of like caramel and caramel, though I'm very, very set on the word caramel. The last one I'm going to talk about is the Land of Stories graphic novel that came out in June that I read. And honestly, I think I like the prequel in the actual series better than all like the spin-off things. Unless it's the Mother Goose Diaries.
Gotcha.
Because that was really funny. But, yeah, like it was good. I mean, I just like the other stuff better.
What are you reading right now?
I'm reading To All the Boys I Loved Before, and it was really, really hyped, and Netflix picked it up, and there's so much, like, it's romance, there's a fake dating trope, and all of that stuff, and I got so excited, and now I'm reading, I'm kind of like, oh, okay. Like, mediocre. I don't know if I'm going to stick with it, which is sad, because, like, it's a romance. That's my alley. That's my jam.
That's your lane.
That's my lane. I remember I was listening to the first episode, and I said that I wrote fantasy, which is still 100% true, and that's what I like to read, too, as I like to read and write fantasy, but it has definitely gotten more complex as time has went on.
Do you think that that'll change as you get older?
Yeah, because I'm probably not going to want to write about fairies and rainbows when I'm 20 years old. I mean, I probably will, let's be honest, but that won't be my only thing. But right now, like, I'm starting to dip into the like writing in the YA world, which is really fun because I feel like I can just like say things. Like, I can have violence and things that make the story
You're
go
smiling
on.
as you're saying it. I don't know how to take it. Can I tell you what I'm reading?
Yeah.
You know I don't read a lot of fiction. So my New Year's resolution was to do a book a month. Why are you laughing? I know you do like a book every 3 days, but
yeah,
you know what
or
I mean.
3 hours if it's the selection.
Sometimes schedules get in the way, and
I mean, and
your
you have
producer's
this
dyslexic, so he's a slow reader.
No, but you have this thing called a job, and
correct, producing the show. So I started the year off with A Promised Land by Barack Obama, and it was interesting because my job is I'm a journalist.
Yeah.
And before I was a news journalist, I was a sports journalist forever, and I made the transition to news right. Just as the President Obama was running for office, and then I interviewed President Obama when he was Senator Obama.
That was the year that I was born, right?
2006 was when Will was born, so 2008 was when you were born.
Is that when?
Yeah. I really love Malcolm Gladwell. He's a big podcaster.
Yeah.
He has I've read several of his books, like Tipping Point and things of that nature, and he wrote this book called The Bomber Mafia about World War II and our Air Force.
Yeah.
And it was super well done, and it was about stuff I didn't know. And then I read John Boehner's book, the former House Speaker who is from our area. And I wanted to do that as well. And then I did dip into an entire
fiction book
series.
I am so proud of you, Dad.
Yeah.
I mean, producer.
I had to take a break from them because they were so intense.
That's what happened to me with these violent delights. What happens is I literally...
you speak about violence.
When you have to close the book and just take a second because you're either genuinely angry that somebody is that good, or it's just too much.
It was too much.
It's just
so
too
the
much.
series is
but
going to become...
in the best way possible.
That book series is going to become a television series on Amazon, and the author's name is Jack Carr, and he's a former Navy SEAL. And so
perfect segue, Dad.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So yeah.
Today we're going to talk about movie or show adaptations of books.
Okay.
Which this can either be a really, really triggering topic or a fantastic topic.
Okay.
Because I've seen both.
All right.
Like, the most recent one that I've watched was, oh my God, Mysterious Benedict Society by Trenton Lee Stewart. I loved those books in third grade so much that I dressed like Kate Weatherall for how long, Dad?
About a year.
About a year. I carried the bucket and everything. Uh, and that came out, and I was so excited. And honestly, it did pretty well. I mean, there were a couple things that, you know, it's like, that wasn't like the book, you know, like every reader does. But, like, it was pretty spot on for most of it. Mm-hmm. And that made me very, very happy.
You felt like the series was well done.
Yeah, it was well done.
Well, I think the key for if you're
And they had really cool graphics.
Sorry. I think the key if you're going to do something, you know, my opinion on it, is if you're going to do something to you know, big screen or small screen from a book, doing it in a series is very smart compared to doing it in a movie. In a movie, you might have 2.5 hours to get an entire book that could be 500 pages. In a series,
pages. You have
episodes.
Hours and hours and hours and hours. Yeah, which is what they did, and it was pretty good. And I think that a bunch of people who haven't read the book watched it and loved it too. But then I haven't read the Percy Jackson series. I'm just not a mythology kind of person, but I haven't read that. But my mom did, and she watched the first book the first book movie adaptation, and that apparently made people angry.
What about Harry Potter?
Harry Potter, I think that those are also iconic in their own way. Like, the Harry Potter movies and the Harry Potter books are their own two fandoms, because that's so big. Like, I feel like I can't talk about that, because I've only ever read the first book and seen the first movie. Like
your producer's age, there are a couple of things that come to mind that were books, that were fantastic books that were movies. The Godfather series. The book was amazing. The movies were, the first two movies were amazing.
Oh, yeah. But then there's things like The Hunger Games, who got so big, and then they made movies off of it, and then, you know, stuff.
There was another book it was one of my favorite fictional books called The Legend of Bagger Vance. The book is amazing. The movie's horrible.
Oh, that's
the movie's so bad. It leaves important characters out.
So in 7th grade, a part of the curriculum was we had to read The Outsiders, which it's a classic. It's a book, you know, it exists.
Yes.
And then we watched the movie, and like we had to split it up into multiple days because, you know, we only had an hour of each class, whatever. And so we would watch it, and it like either was like there were some moments that were spot on, and then there were just random scenes that they left out that were so important to the story.
But my question to you is, does the movie I don't know if the movie has to be exactly what the book is.
Yes, it does.
Your face. I don't know. See, people say that to me all the time about like now a big thing is like taking musicals and productions and
like
putting
in
them
the
to
Heights.
Movies.
Like In the Heights.
Correct.
And Dear Evan Hansen is coming out. I'm watching that one.
But maybe it needs to be its own standalone art form.
It does, and I'm so... Or you could do what Hamilton did and just record the actual play itself with the original cast and put that on Disney+. Because I'm telling you, theater kids everywhere were enjoying that, including myself. Though I could only make it to the first act with my attention span.
Okay.
It's like a bajillion hours long. I mean, but like things like that, I don't know.
I can't tell you though how many times I've heard, "Oh, the book was so much better than the movie."
Right? They have to be the same, because it's like if you're gonna
they don't have to be the same, I don't think.
I mean, but here's my thing: books are so incredible that like here's my thing: when you're reading, you're producing an Oscar-worthy film that you are directing inside of your head.
You think so?
If you aren't, then
I'm doing it wrong, is what you're saying?
No, I don't. I'm not saying you're doing it wrong. I'm just saying, what's the point? You're supposed to be seeing things. It's supposed to be a visual experience. But then, you know, there are those moments where your brain is like, these are just words on a page, whatever. And then that kind of ruins it. Mm-hmm. But, like, seeing it in your head is the coolest thing ever. And, like, making up how they look and how they whatever. But you never really know the specifics, so you kind of just fill in what you don't know. Like, it's so cool. And then the fact that then you see the movie or whatever, and it's so sad because they don't look the same or they don't look right. And like how in your head, it's no longer the Oscar-worthy film that you directed. It's just whoever the director directed.
But you just get better character development in a book.
100%. And setting, and, you know, and you don't leave out important scenes.
Or even characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just... When people do that, it makes me kind of upset. So I have decided... that when I become a published author, which will be any day now, because I'm at page 100 apparently.
How many pages are you going to when it's done?
A bajillion.
Gotcha.
I mean, however far we need to You know, I'm gonna let the book writes
rails.
itself.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you that much.
All right.
Yeah. But when I become super duper famous off my books, and then they're gonna want a bunch of money, so they buy my book and make it a TV show, because I will not let them make it a movie. When they make it a TV show, we have to have a cool intro, like infographics, like, you know, like how Trenton, you know, Mysterious Benedict Society, like the intro to that.
Yes.
That's what I want, something cool like that, because each little individual like doodle that they had, represented some part of the book, and it was so fun to see somebody like doing that, because most people are like, these are the people who we need to put on here for legal reasons, yay.
Okay.
You know, but like they made it cool, and then they had cool music. It was
creative is what you're saying.
it was very creative. So when I become an author, that's what I'm gonna do, is I'm gonna have cool graphics, and then I will also be on set and be producing, because I'm not letting somebody else, you know. And I also want to be part of the casting, because I've decided that I want Millie Bobby Brown and or Emma Watson to play Allura. That kind of gives you a visual of what she looks like.
You're ready to go.
I'm so ready for this. And then we haven't decided who's going to play Kyla yet.
Well, let me ask you, do you think
Maybe
in the
China Anne
creative
McClain
process,
for Ari Delaney.
with so many different media platforms now, from podcasts, even like Audible, where you listen to books on tape now, like Malcolm Gladwell's book Bomber Mafia had sound effects, and it had sound bites from the actual time period, from the individuals and stakeholders that were there, and interviews with other people. See what I'm saying?
Cool.
Like it felt
That's
like more
more
like
of
a
a
documentary.
Yeah.
You know
I
what I
was
mean?
gonna say, that's not
so my
like a
point
book,
is
it's
do
like a
you
podcast.
write with all of this in mind, or do you just write the book?
I just write the book.
Is it time to read a little bit of what you're working on?
Yeah.
Or are you not going to do that?
No, yeah, I'll do that. It's just, I have this scene right here.
And this is from Assassin's Affray?
I have this scene here that I actually really like, that I wrote recently, but then I would give you no context and you have no idea what's happening, so you wouldn't be able to enjoy it, you know? But then here's my thing. I don't like the beginning. That's something that I'm completely going to absolutely change every single word of when I do the editing process.
Okay. Hits, runs, and errors. How long have you been working on this?
2 months? 3 months?
This book? 2 months?
Yeah.
When do you think you'll be done?
With the first draft?
Yes.
At most by next summer.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And
then
the story is about, what's the story?
Oh, it's about all these assassins, and they're put into this Hunger Games situation for the secret society that I mentioned earlier. But so in this context, there are two characters, Allura and Milo, and they hate each other. But Allura's sitting out in the rain protecting her friends at like 3 a.m.
Okay.
And he comes kind of to her rescue. And it makes me happy. I don't know. About an hour into Lookout, my mind was still blank. Allura? I turned my head. Milo. What are you doing out in the rain? He said. Lookout, I responded, trying to ignore him. He said nothing. He just sat down. Then he took off his jacket that he oh so conveniently won and laid it over my shoulders. I couldn't reject it. I was too cold and tired. Thanks, was all I could say. He didn't respond, but he grabbed the top of my head and pulled it onto his shoulder. Rest, he pleaded. I'll keep lookout. And I was asleep in less than 5 minutes.
What are you looking at me with that face for?
Because you're like not approving, but you're also approving. Your facial expression right now.
I feel like Dorothy's not in Kansas anymore.
Like I was scrolling through my drive and I looked back at old stories. I was like, what is this? There's no entertainment. What? Like I remember
disagree with that.
I mean, talking about a kindergartner who was using. I mean, I legitimately, I'm not making this up. I wrote a book about this genius kindergartner who was playing with a protractor.
Love that.
Where's the enjoyment in that? You gotta have an enemies to lovers or some kind of slow burn or trenchant or a love triangle. You gotta have something.
You're gonna need a new producer soon. That's so funny. It's good.
You gotta have something.
It's good.
I mean, you have no context.
Where does that fall in the story?
Basically, they've had a really rough go. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but something happened to one of their friends, and they're all kind of suffering in their own way. And Allura is she does not like to express her emotions, so she's kind of just like Solomon, I don't really care about anything. And Milo is this guy who is like this big, muscular, tall dude who like kind of flirtingly banters with her, because, you know, that's what they do in an enemies to lovers. You have no idea what I'm saying, do you? That's okay. But for everybody who understands, like, flirt, like, you know, and he cares about her, but she's so stubborn, and they technically hate each other because they're competitors. Mm-hmm. They're both trying to win their freedom, but the only way to do that is by getting through each other, you know? But so they have these mini games, and they just went through this mini game, and Milo had won, like, a jacket and some food, you know, because, like, they're trying to get more excitement. And he, like I said, then he took off his jacket that he oh so conveniently won and laid it over my shoulders. So this is kind of him showing that he really does care for her, but she's so, like, I don't even care about you, that it doesn't matter.
Got it.
Yeah.
It's pretty deep in a paragraph.
Pretty deep. It's just that, welcome to romance.
Back to the quote at the show, beginning of the show. What was it again?
Writers spend 3 years rearranging 26 letters of the alphabet. It's enough to make you lose your mind day by day.
What does that mean? What does that quote mean to you think? Or is it just more fun?
This one's kind of a more fun one, but it's just like, it never really, like, when you think about it, writing is like, when you, like, break it down, you're rearranging 26 symbols that not even the whole world knows for the enjoyment of other people. And then you do that over and over and over again. It's the weirdest concept. Like, if we were trying to explain to aliens what writing is, I think that they'd think that we're crazier than we already are. I mean, if somebody in the 1700s said that, I think it means it's true. So on that note, thank you all so much for listening. We hope that you enjoyed it. It has been a while, but I want to start making more episodes.
You've been listening to Write That Down, the podcast of an aspiring author. Now, this is the part where I'm supposed to give a shameless plug of all my social media accounts, but my parents won't let me have any.
Write that down.
Thanks for listening. Happy writing.